All right, the Reds, it's Thursday. Is it Thursday? It is Thursday. For a minute there, I thought we'd have to do it again, and I can't be arsed. It's Talking Reds unscripted today, I'm calling it. We've got a bit of a script, but I just knocked this up in 10 seconds, got to be honest with you. Paul Cope joining me. The reason it's unscripted is really, you know, ordinarily we'd go through the papers, ordinarily I'd be going through websites and seeing what everyone's saying. And I kind of woke up today and thought, I don't care. Do you know why I don't care? Because Liverpool are on the march, Liverpool are boss, Liverpool can win a 6th European Cup. I read Paul Cope's article on the site and I walked out the house like this and I just thought, I support the best football team in the world, bar none. And that's what you should all think as well, because why not? I can't wait for this draw tomorrow. I can't wait to see who we get, because I don't care who we get. We can beat anyone. Did you see Madrid last night? They were crap. Oh, mate, you can't defend.
Do you know, can wait for it? The other 3 teams,
yeah,
they're all shitting themselves. They're like they're going, please not Liverpool, please not Liverpool, please. You want to get to a final, you don't want to play us in the semi because we'll batter you.
And I just think as well, look, I see this constant debate about, you know, I hate, you see other supporters of other clubs who genuinely get annoyed that Liverpool fans say, we're special, we're different, we do it better. But we do. You mean, look how good Anfield was for the first leg of that. Look how good the away fans were in the second leg, and look how well the team played. We've all come together here, and there's no coincidence here. We know how to do Europe as a group of fans. The players know that, they've heard the stories, now they're making their own stories. And I seen an interview last night with some quotes came out from Trent, and he was just like, I don't care who we get. We've been telling ourselves all season that we can win it, and we're still telling ourselves that. Yeah. And I just think that, you know, that's the right way around, isn't it? Because, you know, pre-match, you know, turned on social media before we kicked the ball against City. Seen a lot of Reds sort of nervous and talking about typical Liverpool and talking about we always do things the hard way and all this. Doesn't matter. None of that matters, does it? It's all about this team, these players, this manager, and right now. Yeah. And right now, Liverpool are boss, aren't they?
Unbelievably boss. And this is the thing. Like, if you haven't read my article yet, go out and read it. I think it's boss, and I wrote it. So, but this is the funny thing. When you're writing things, when you're doing shows, whatever you're doing, sometimes I'll write something and I'll think, not that good. That. It's all right. I've written something about Emre Can and it's all right. But you know that when you write it. When I get to write articles like this, I lined up the one for the home leg. I lined it up with the lads the week before. I was like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going to write. I woke up literally, I had like 3 hours sleep on, what day? Wednesday morning. Got in at 5 o'clock, woke up at 8, 9 and thought, I'm writing this article. So I wrote that pissed, which probably comes across. But it's boss, and I could feel it was boss when I was writing it, and everyone's like, yeah, it's quality. If you haven't read it, go and read it, it'll make you feel great. But there's some people replied to me saying, oh, yeah, it's mental all this, and I know it's fun, but I just can't do it. I'm too afraid, I'm too worried about the semi.
Enjoy it.
Just enjoy it. It doesn't matter. We said this after the first leg, and I know if we'd have got beat by City, if we'd have gone out, there would have been people cutting bits of the video that me and Mo did after the first leg, saying, we told you you'd get beat, we told you you'd get knocked out. I said back then, I'll say it again, and I'll say it about the semis. I don't care. It doesn't matter. If we win, if we beat Man City, go out and celebrate. Don't worry about what happens next, because if that's your theory, at what point do you ever enjoy anything? If we win the European Cup final, do you then worry about next year and whether we might get knocked out in the first round? At what point are you just going to let yourself have fun? Just enjoy it. That's what this is all about. And if you're not enjoying it, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I love, by the way, that Klopp apparently went out onto the pitch, grabbed Gini, basically said, you know, you played well there, lad, and then said to him, let's not make this the biggest moment of the season. You know, straight away he's getting in the Reds saying, come on, semis next, then the final. Kopi goes on about his article about how he's talking to family members about it's a bit mad that you're going to the Ukraine. I'm having them conversations at home as well. Yeah. Why not? You know what I mean? I mean, look, I finally have cleared one of my credit cards after years, so it's ready to pay for Kiev.
Just in time.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just in time to go into Granza debt again, to go and watch the Reds win a massive cup. You know what I mean? That's what it is all about.
What are credit cards for if not that?
Exactly.
I remember I always tell this story, but I remember when it was Istanbul, and that when we sort of got the feeling that we might be getting there in 05, and there was that buzz about going about like it is now. For people who weren't watching us then, who weren't old enough, whatever, this is what it felt like. There was just a feeling around the place. I saw Gerrard talking about it on BT the other day. There's a feeling amongst Liverpool fans when these things happen, and you can't explain it, and that's what leads to people going, oh, it's not logical, this, they're like mad animals and all that. But I remember one of my mates saying to me, Istanbul's a bit moody though, isn't it, mate? Like, what if it was Paris or Rome? And I said, no, it's perfect. Because we've already got our dads and our granddads, they've got the Paris story, they've got the Rome story. This is new, this is different, and it's just mad that this is Kiev. So we get another one, we get another crazy story, another crazy journey. This is what Liverpool fans are made for. This is all about. How are you getting there? I'd booked a hotel. I've always been, the hotel I booked in the Ukraine was like £3 a night or something, and the fella who I've booked it off has obviously got to the point where he's realised what's going on that weekend. So he sent me an email in Ukrainian, I had to translate and all that, saying, we're cancelling this, mate, you can rebook it for £1,000 a night. I was like,
doesn't work like that, it's a contract, lad.
That's not how it works, mate. But that's the whole thing. So now,
didn't know Kopi was a lawyer there, did he?
Yeah, no. He's picked the wrong one there, hasn't he? Booking.com are in trouble here as well. They're going to have to upgrade me at some point. But then it'll all be about how do we get there, and there'll be all that same thing again about taxis and buses and boats and how.
Winnebago.
Are we going in a Winnebago?
Yeah,
that's
what we're
doing.
I fancy that, and we can do the content from inside.
We can film it all the way.
You know what I mean? The other thing that's happening is that loads of Reds are coming up with, and Kopi did again in his piece about all the different coincidences that are happening. So in the quarter final, we ended up going through 5-1, didn't we? Which was the same as, was it 84? Yeah. We went through 5-1 on aggregate then. There's loads more that like there's the idea that you like when we won in 05, we obviously beat the eventual champions of the league, Chelsea. Chelsea had also won the League Cup, and so it's the same as City. There's loads and loads of them, but the best one I've seen, the one I really enjoy is in 2005 Liverpool won the European Cup and Everton was shit, and in 2018 Liverpool are going to win the European Cup and Everton are shit. So what a coincidence, eh? It's absolutely nailed on that we're going to do it.
That's my favourite one.
It's my favourite one so far.
Robbo sent me that the other night and I was like, that is the best one so far.
It's superb, absolutely brilliant work.
I've heard we're dead popular with Evertonians, aren't we?
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently when there's been various Everton rants on here, hasn't there, and loads of jokes about Big Sam. Apparently it's creeped into Everton forums, and they're talking about what dickheads we are and why are we obsessed with them and all this. I had a fella come up to me, at Goodison Park. I was waiting outside for everyone to sort of congregate, and we were coming down here to record the post-match show. And this fella come up to me, Evertonian. He was sound, to be fair. He just came up to me like this and just goes, "They're watching you, lad. They're watching you." and then laughed and walked away. And I thought, fair enough, because ultimately that's what it's about, isn't it? It's a laugh. The idea that, I think I told you before on this show about a fella saying he was going to butt me in the face in Eighton Village because I'm always going on about Everton. Sound. See you there, lad. But yeah, what else did I want to... Oh yeah, and the other reason why it's all a bit, all over the show today as well is before we came and did this today, we've been having a big chat among everyone at the Anfield app who's here day to day about doing more video, basically. We think this is going well. You all seem to like it. The subscriptions to the channel have gone up. It's getting decent views and stuff. So we've had a bit of a chat about, can we do more video? Is it worth us getting into this properly and doing Anfield app video as a regular thing? So if you'd like to see that, you like the idea of that, let us know what you'd like to see. We always read all your comments, good and bad. Don't always respond to them all because some of them I just can't be asked. But yeah, please comment below and all that. Let us know what you think about that idea and let us know what you'd like to see from us, and we will give that a read. Right, what else has been going on? We're not going to do the break today. As I say, we're not doing the papers. We're just going right through, having a big higgly-piggly chat. I want to talk about safe standing though. So you may well have seen this week that West Brom wanted to go ahead with a safe standing section at the Hawthorns. The reason being is that they deemed it to be much safer to allow people to stand in a rail seating section than the current situation, unsafe standing, which is standing in a section made with seats. They were pretty sure that they were going to get somewhere with this. They put a lot of work into it, and their comments are obviously that they're subsequently disappointed that the government government basically just said, nah, and the explanation for it was, we're not changing our stance. And then they left it at that. That was pretty much the statement from the government. They've obviously been pushed on that since, and Tracy Crouch, the sports minister, has come out and said that there's only a vocal minority who support the idea of safe standing. This obviously sort of flies in the face of the idea that if you're going regularly to football matches in England, home and away, you will see ends of grounds standing for 90 minutes. I mean, in this past week, we stood for 90 minutes at Anfield against Man City. We stood for 90 minutes against Everton at Goodison Park, and we stood for 90 minutes against Man City again at the Etihad. None of that behaviour was challenged. All of that behaviour was unsafe. When goals were scored, people fell over seats. When goals were scored, you know, all kinds of leg injuries, knocking into kids, whatever you like. And I just kind of think, you know, what needs to happen before this is taken seriously? There's people standing up on the second tier of grounds. Work it out. You know, you can work out what could possibly happen. And then also, obviously, you've got Celtic Park, you know, 2-3 hours up the road. A prime example of rail seating working really well over the course of 2 seasons now. Celtic, the club, love it. Celtic, the fans, love it. The authorities in Glasgow have put their hands up and said this works, it's better, it's easier to get to people, it's safer, all of that. And what the government have done here is essentially ignored their own experts. They've had experts looking at this in the name of the government, and they have come back and said, yeah, it works, it's good, it's great. And then for Tracy Crouch to just come out and completely dismiss it, and not only that, but also to say there are rules and regulations against persistent standing, and maybe they should be more, more rigorously enforced. You're just ignoring the will of thousands of people here, and you know, I know the government does that kind of thing sometimes, but it's simply not true. The vocal minority thing. You know, there's been various surveys at different clubs, including one around Liverpool, led by the Spirits of Shankly, that show there's overwhelming support from match-going fans for safe standing. So where we are now with it is that there's a petition cropped up. Now, you know, petitions crop up all the time, but this seems a little bit more of an important one to me, in that it can help to lead a fresh debate. It only had a couple of thousand the other day. People are now starting to share it, including us on social media. Very quickly, it's gone up to about 25,000 at the last look, hopefully more by now. Obviously, if you get it to 100,000 is the rule, it then has to be debated in the House of Commons. So sign that petition if you're passionate about this. I've been up to Celtic Park, I've done a video on it, it's on this channel if you're watching on YouTube. I really think it's something we should be looking at, because, as I say, Kopi, you know, the current situation is we have regularly unsafe standing.
Yeah, there's so much in this. It's a
show in itself, almost,
yeah,
isn't it?
it's all a bit mad. I see this a lot in like just day-to-day life, and usually in the world of politics as well. You get people commenting on things and taking positions on things who aren't representative of the people they're talking about, and that's my biggest problem in anything. It can be this topic or any of the other hundreds or thousands of topics we talk about all the time. And the number of times you're looking at a panel discussing things, or a group of people deciding something, you think, well, you're not representative of what you're talking about, so how can you possibly come to a decision on it? And I think for the sake of balance, I'd say in defence of any government, not this government. I'm always reluctant to say defence of any of this government in particular, but I think we're probably part of the issue here, in that they'll be scared. Governments usually are just scared of doing things wrong, and that's why we end up in the mess we're in. And they'll be scared of the reaction if they go the other way and say, yeah, you can stand up, and something happens, and then you get all the people who say, well, you've already had this disaster, and you, Liverpool, were the ones who these changes came in to help, and because of Hillsborough and all the rest of it. But I think that this happens loads as well. I think people lose sight of what there is they're trying to achieve. The Taylor Report and all-seater stadium, the point of that, the whole point, is to make fans safer. That's it. Well, now we've reached a point where, OK, that was better than the terraces we had before. It was. All-seater stadium is better than the terrace we had before. But now we've got an option that's better again. I was saying to Robbo before, and this is one of the things I don't really get about this debate, is people say, I've seen other people say this, yeah, we'll just make everyone sit down. If you just make everyone sit down, then this doesn't happen, it's not an issue. But it is an issue, because even if you move away from people standing up for 90 minutes, what are we going to do when we celebrate a goal? Just do it sitting down. It's when people score goals that everyone goes wild. I was saying to Robbo, after, if any of us had any desire to do this, and we were too busy thinking about other things at the time, when we scored the first goal, and it was the second goal as well, There's a 50-year-old fella in the row in front of me, ended up on the floor, and there's people trying to not stand on his head. I was doing my best. I'm a 38-year-old man nearly, and I was doing my best to just stay on my feet in the middle of all the chaos. Well, that would have happened if we were sitting down, because you jump up to score when we score a goal. It's exciting. That's the whole purpose of the enterprise. So we should make it as safe as we possibly can. Yeah. And if we'd have had rail seating where we were the other day, you wouldn't have had any of that problem. No. You wouldn't have had people falling.
I mean, just to explain, look, if people don't understand, and I know some people don't because I can see it by some of the comments I get back on Twitter when I talk about it. The way it works is you have a barrier in front of you and a barrier behind you, and you have your own allocated space. So when the seat is locked back, and it's for a league game, for example, in Scotland, you're allowed to stand in it. They lock the seat back, and you have your space, and it's a lot of space. You can easily walk out and go to the bar or whatever you're doing. And so when a goal's scored, like Kofi's saying, you have lots of room to go mad, to hug people, to run mad, to do what you like. But what you can't do is spill forward. You can't spill back, because there's a barrier there and there's a barrier behind you, and it makes it much safer. And when I went up to Glasgow and went in Celtic's safe standing section, you had young kids in there, you had older people in there, and also...
You pointed at me when you said older people then?
I know I'm older than them, but no, that was because you made the point. But also, you know, so there was little kids on shoulders and things like that. You know, so they were happy. We're not filming or anything, mate. So they were happy to take those kids in there, and they felt safe in that environment. So that's all we're after, really. It's about being given the choice as well. I mean, there's an older fella who sits in front of me on the cop, and you know, when the cop stands for 90 minutes, there's nothing the stewards can do about it. It's nearly 13,000 people. How do you tell 13,000 people to sit down? And there's a fella in front of me who obviously enjoys it. He's been going a match a long time, but it reaches a point in the game where he's like, I've got to sit down here, my legs are absolutely killing. And so he sits down and he can't watch the footy anymore. And like, so maybe he'd want to go and sit down somewhere, but maybe other people around him want to stand up. So why can't we give people the choice? That's all we're asking for. So if you believe in this as passionately as I do, I would urge you to sign that petition. For the link, if you go to the Anfield app's Twitter feed or my Twitter feed, it's been shared on both of those. It's also on our Facebook page, and I'll try and remember to stick it in the description for this show as well. Another one that I wanted to get into as well is at the Man City game the other night. I thought Man City had a bit of a go at the atmosphere. Look, there's lots of piss taken over that about, you know, the plastic flags, the terrible welcome for the coach with a fella on a mic. It was like something off Phoenix Nights, that. But they did have a bit of go. They were lifted by the team, obviously, and their great start. 2 minutes in, they scored a goal. And I thought they did have a little bit of a go. Yeah. But I was right on the divide with their fans. So, you know, there was there was me, there was like a barrier, there was the police, a couple of stewards, and then there's them. And like, I could literally talk to one of their fans this close. And I did end up talking to him quite a bit, because he kept pointing out that I was a murderer, and that what happened at Heysel was my fault and everyone's fault. And I was like, do you know that was in 1985, mate? Do you know that was 33 years ago? And he just, yeah, but you're a murderer. And I'm like, no, mate, I was 8 years old, sitting in the back room of my mum and dad's house, watching it on a black and white television. I'm not a murderer. And I put a tweet out about it yesterday, just saying, I don't really get why in 2018, you know, we're talking about something that happened in 1985. I don't get why football disasters are used as, and I hate the phrase, but any kind of banter. So that applies to Hillsborough, Heysel, to Munich. And I know Liverpool fans at times have stepped over this line. This isn't about me saying Liverpool fans are better than Everton fans, or better than Man City fans, or better than Man United fans. It's just about whoever engages in this kind of thing. What are you doing? What's it for? What's the point? You know, there was City fans singing, or some of them were singing, oh, is the victim, it's never your fault. A few had to go at that at Goodison as well. We saw people doing this at Goodison as well, doing the pushing gestures to suggest that obviously we pushed over a wall at Heysel, that kind of thing. Again, I don't really get what the behaviour's about. And if you're pointing a finger saying Liverpool fans won't talk about it, well, my conscience is clear, because here at the Anfield app, we did a huge audio documentary on Heysel. It's out there, it's free. We spoke to people who were there, we spoke to Italians, we spoke to everyone involved really, and it was a very, very honest piece of audio. Like, I can remember Peter Hooton talking on it, saying he was there, and when he looked at it afterwards and he looked at some of the pictures, some of the people who were right at the front when this wall collapses and when the people died, he said they were known hooligans who followed Liverpool Football Club. There's no attempt there to look for blame elsewhere. And if you want to go and look at the Anfield app stuff on this, not only did we publish that documentary, we published an unpublished book, large extracts of it in a series of articles, again looking into what happened, who was prosecuted, how it was investigated. And you know, this idea that we sort of routinely called murderers as a group of fans, it's ridiculous in 2018, isn't it?
Yeah, we were talking about this before we started recording about one of my pet hates in life is people generalising about any group, about anything. And I said to Rob after the match when he was telling me a story about someone saying to him in the ground, "You're a murderer." You're like, I sort of get it on a wider scale, on a wider spectrum. But I've had that, like, I had a blue nose come up to me outside the match ages ago, and just as he walked past me, he just pointed in my face and said, "Get back to Norway." And I thought, that doesn't really work, mate, because I'm not from Norway. No. So I understand your point of, like, the joke is we're all Norwegians and loads of Liverpool fans are from Norway, but it doesn't work on an individual basis. And it's, I mean, this is much deeper, obviously, and more of a dark subject. But I don't know, it's just like base behaviour, isn't it? It's like where are you going to next? It's not. You can't beat us on the pitch, so you sink into these depths. And I think it is worth saying as well what you said about, like, that I saw someone saying this about the bottles getting thrown against the coach for City, and Neil was telling a story the other day. He was on a phone in on a radio show, and the fellow was saying Liverpool fans should be condemned, and I went, what, all of them? Like, it's because 10 people threw something at a bus. And I think we just, like, everyone needs to be a bit careful just generally about doing stuff like this. Because it's just nonsense, isn't it? You're just generalising millions of people with the behaviour of a few.
Yeah, when you say all Mancs do this or all Evertonians do this, I mean, look, you know, some of it's a bit of a laugh, but some of it, like you say, you know, it's a little bit darker. And the idea as well that, you know, we won't talk. I mean, like, look, you know, Mo Salah has scored 39 goals for Liverpool. Liverpool Football Club put out a tweet saying Mo Salah scored 39 goals for Liverpool with a bit of a graphic. And there are people, lots of people, replying to that saying, oh, well, that's better than killing 39 Italians then, isn't it? And it's like, the idea that that's so throwaway, that you talk about a disaster in that manner, I can't really get my head around it. People did go to jail for that. People did go to jail for manslaughter. Some of them are Liverpool fans. Some of them are people, you know, there was also prosecutions around, you know, the UEFA president at the time was threatened with charges. There was potential imprisonment around the health and safety around the ground. So there are factors around why that happened, including the state of the stadium and how it was policed, but they're not excuses. That's just simply the story. And the idea that we won't talk about it, or it's Liverpool's dirty secret, or whatever you want to do, just stop using it as something to throw at people in 2018. It's awful.
Yeah, I think the other thing people need to bear in mind as well is, I can't remember who I was talking to about this, and they were talking about Liverpool got English clubs banned from Europe because of this, and I said that's not true though, is it? Because this was the straw that broke the camel's back. But it was because there was hooliganism across English football, so no English fans were being trusted abroad, and there was an element of Liverpool fans part of that problem, yes. And I think that all reasonable Liverpool fans hold their hands up to that. As you said though, we were only kids at the time, so we're sort of holding our hands up by association. But it was the same for every other club, and the reality is, if Man City had been in that final at that ground at the time, it probably would have been them. Or if Everton had, it probably would have been them.
Well, there's plenty of other incidences, and that's what, you know, it's about the culture and the context of the 1980s at the time, and how football fans were perceived. That's why the ban happened, you know. And as you say, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And there's plenty of stuff you can read up on it, including on the Anfield app about it. And I just think, you know, we're in a completely different time now. I got a very good tweet from Peter Firmage actually about this, and he said, you know, he's older than us, and he's a Liverpool fan who's gone home and away for a long time. And what he said was, it's really interesting that at the time this happened, and when the ban was introduced, there wasn't a load of finger pointing at Liverpool then, because people were living in those times, and they knew that, you know, their own club had hooligans, that their own club maybe had incidences, and they knew that it was a problem with football. And so there wasn't all this finger pointing, there wasn't the murderers thing. And now you've got people who weren't even born at that time, making stickers, singing songs, pointing fingers, coming up to you in the street and calling you a murderer. You know, get a grip. Get an absolute grip and leave it alone. There's loads of stuff you can do. I'd prefer personal abuse, I've got to be honest in this.
Yeah.
Because if you give me personal abuse, I'll just give you some back. But if you're calling me a murderer, I'll just laugh in your face because I'm not one. So, you know what I mean? Anyway, on lighter stuff, we're getting dead famous us now. Steve Warnock was messaging me in Cope last night, laughing his head off because I had a little slot on 5 Live last night, and I've been ripping Steve Warnock about being on there and leaving the Anfield rap behind. So yeah, he just sent the big eyes emoji, didn't he? So, I'm saying nothing here, boys, and then we had a bit of a backwards and forwards on it.
I can't believe I haven't been on yet.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
It's only a matter of time.
We should start a petition to get me on 5 Live. It's not on.
Yeah, if you want to send messages to Mark Chapman on Twitter and just say, you know, you got the wrong lad.
Get me on.
Got the wrong lad on, get Copey on, he's dead good. Feel free.
I've got stuff to say about Evertonians and work sharing arrangements that I think the whole country needs to be in on.
We're also dead excited about, we've got CNN coming in today, which is absolutely mad. They're making a documentary on Mo Salah. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I have now. And they want to come in and speak to some Reds about why we think he's absolutely brilliant. So I think we can manage that, so that'll be good. In terms of shows that are out there, Review was out there yesterday and Wildcards, both well worth a listen. Today we're doing a freebie on the Grand National, which is obviously isn't footy, but you know, it's a big event in the city and people get excited about it, so why not? That's a free one if you want to have a go at that. The Friday show for subscribers is out there today. And I'm not sure whether we're doing something on fantasy football now. It's down on the schedule, but I think I heard Neil say that might not be happening today, so there you go. So that's been another Talking Reds, a bit of a chaotic one, a bit of a mad one, but I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, I asked for your feedback earlier on the idea of us doing more video. Would love to hear what that is, so please leave a comment, let us know what you think, and I'll enjoy having a read of those later. Up the Reds.